Alright shooters, welcome back to DMZ Tactical here. I'm going to show you how I froglube. We have three different weapon systems. We got a handgun, which is a Smith & Wesson M&P9. We have a bolt carrier group of a AR15. And then we got this big guy here, which is the bolt carrier group of the M82A1 Barrett 50 caliber sniper rifle. So we're going to take all these apart, and I'm going to show you exactly what I do to froglube and how I keep my weapons running smooth, even though we shoot so many rounds downrange. Starting off with the handgun, we have here Smith & Wesson M&P. I basically have taken it apart. I have three things here. I have the barrel. This is actually a threaded barrel. My spring, and then my slide. This is all I froglube and I heat up. And again, going back to how froglube works, froglube is organic, and it actually works by absorbing into the metal, and then it sweats it out as your gun gets hot. So this is what I like to do. Froglube says go ahead and use a hair dryer to heat up the metal, or a heat gun, like a paint stripper heat gun. I make it very, very simple. I take my metal parts, I basically clean them, I get everything clean. If it does have other chemicals, I use froglube solvent to take all the other chemicals out, especially petroleum based. Once I have it pretty clean and it's ready to go, I take all the fouling off of inside the barrel. I take these three things, and then I'm going to go ahead and add some froglube. And basically, I just take with my hands some froglube, as you can see, and I'm going to coat all of it with froglube. Just a light coat. I'll pour some down the barrel and let it just soak in there. I do that with my spring, and I do that with my slide, just enough to get a light coat on it. Again, I'm just doing it with my fingers. You don't need to plop it on there, just enough to get a light coat on all the metal, outside and inside, it doesn't matter. Again, you primarily want it the places that metal is going to be touching metal. One of the key places that I look to put froglube on is on these little rails grooves that most people forget to do, because metal to metal contact is there all the time when that gun cycles. So I put enough froglube in there, and that's basically what I do with that guy. Let's move on to my bolt carrier group of an AR15. Basically, I'm using this bolt for a class I'm teaching on AR disassembly, complete disassembly. So I don't have the extractor or ejector out in it. But basically, these are the parts that I would put that I want to heat up. So I basically take some froglube, enough just with my hands, get this bolt all covered up. Again, all these little rails down here, inside and out. Put enough froglube in there. I take my bolt, same thing. I cover it with froglube. The face, the breech face right there, cover it all with froglube. Take my cam, my firing pin, and here's my extractor. I just froglube it up. One thing you want to put a lot of froglube on is back here. Basically, froglube also prevents carbon from building up. And remember, when back here, if you shoot an AR a lot, you'll see that back here you get a lot of carbon buildup. So that's basically it for those two guys. And I'll show you what I do as soon as we take apart this this Barrett 50 cal bolt. So here's a little treat. Not too many people see one of these. Look at the size of this bolt compared to an AR-15 bolt. This thing probably weighs about 4 or 5 pounds. So this thing is huge. Basically, here's the bolt. Here's the bolt carrier group, and then we have some stuff back here. I will go ahead and take this apart, and I'll show you how it works. So let's go ahead and start from back here. We're going to pull this pin out right here. Pull this pin out, and this guy's going to come off. This guy here is going to come off right there. And then you guys are going to notice there's a spring right here, spring right there, and then there's a firing pin right in there. And how we're going to take it out is, see this guy here? Well, basically we're going to push down. Take one of these and go ahead and push down on that. And you're going to see that this guy comes out here. So the third pin, and here's the firing pin. Look how big this guy is compared to an AR15 firing pin. So we have that guy out. Basically what we want to do is we want to take the bolt out, and then we can also take this out here. What we need is to be able to lift this up here. So there it goes. Almost. There it goes. Got it out. There's that guy there. This guy comes out. Only goes one way out, one way in. Right there. So what we want to do is we want to take out the bolt. There's two detents. There's that guy right there, and then there's this guy back here. So what we're going to do is we're going to take, let me get a bigger, we're going to take this guy right here, get it in there, and that's going to release some of the pressure right there. And then we need to pull this guy here, and it pulls the bolt out. There's a spring. And then basically here's our bolt face, as you can tell, and this is the bolt for the Barrett sniper rifle, and we're clear there. Basically what I do is I get this guy all cleaned up, and notice how much lube is on this bolt. I shot 144 rounds on it just the other day. I haven't cleaned it. I shot 144 rounds through this guy. 50 caliber BMG sniper rifle, and never once lubed it up. Why you see so much lube is because, again, the premise of froglube is it actually sucks out, it actually absorbs froglube when it's heated up, and then as it's heating up when you're shooting the gun, it actually sweats it out. So that's why this thing is always protected, unlike petroleum-based products where it actually just covers up. Nice little film, and then when it starts heating up, it gets all used up. Now you're metal to metal. So basically here it is. Let me show you what I do next. So I'm going to take some froglube, put it all over my hands, cover all the metal. Cover all the metal. This is one big piece, big metal piece. So we're going to cover it all up. We're going to cover this guy all up. Get that breech face, cover it all up, cover these pieces up. And then what we're going to do, now that we have everything covered up in froglube, we're going to warm it up. This is what I like to do. I put it in the oven. I preheat my oven to 120 degrees. Some ovens don't go to 120, they start at 150. 150 is fine. Take all your gear. So I have a pan here, and it's just a cooking pan. And basically what you're going to do is you're going to put everything in this pan. And I just separate them so I know where all my parts are. I'll put this here just so you can see what I'm doing. Take my bolt. My firing pin's all covered in froglube. I take all my little pieces. I leave my little spring, my little pins in there. I take all this and I put it in the oven for about 10 minutes, enough to get it hot enough to be absorbing that froglube. So we're going to go ahead and go on standby. I'm going to put this in the oven, and then I'll get back, and then we'll put it back together. Stand by. Okay, we're back. As you can see, I let it cool off, put it in the oven, 12 minutes it was in the oven. And again, just enough to get the metal heated up and absorb some of that froglube. When I did pull it out initially, I just put some froglube on it real quick. I put some gloves on, and then I just rub froglube all over it. And then it sits there and it cools down and it actually absorbs all the froglube. So what you see here are parts already cooled off, that I frog lubed again as soon as it came out of the oven. Again, you have to be careful. Sometimes the parts get too hot. You don't want them to get too hot. If your oven's 150, I recommend doing it maybe for 5-7 minutes only in there. So again, it just depends on your oven and what kind of parts you got. I don't worry too much about these parts because there's no plastic parts, but on the slide you got some plastic parts in there, slide back, stuff like that. Some of your sights, tritium sights. So don't put it in there too long. Just put it in there enough to heat up that metal, like if it was out in the sun, Arizona desert, and you were running your gun hot. So that's pretty much it. That's how I frog lube. As you can tell, we run our guns hard, and as I showed you with that bolt had 144 rounds of 50 BMG through it on that Barrett M82A1 sniper rifle, and it was still pretty frog lubey, if you will, for lack of a better term. It wasn't dry. We didn't lube it once during all those rounds, and that's how come I'm able to do that, because of the preparation I do to get frog lube and get the metal absorbed, that frog lube absorbed in the metal. So I hope this is educational. Basically what I would do lastly is, especially with the handgun, I would take my barrel and then I would bore snake it. So I would take a bore snake through it, I would put frog lube on the end, and I would take my bore snake and bore snake it about 3 times with frog lube on the end, and it puts a nice little coating on there, and then you're pretty much all set. And then run your gun. You can tell it's still leaking a little frog lube. Run your gun when you get out to the range. Dry your gun up and run it, and you'll see that after you get done running it, it's actually going to be a little bit lubed up, and that's because the frog lube actually is sweating it out. So it's the best way to run your guns, guys. We do everything from the Barrett 50 cal all the way to 9mm to AR15s, 5.56 rounds, and we never have any problems, and we shoot all kind of ammo. So I hope this was educational. This is how I frog lube, and we run our guns hard. So if you run your guns basically once a month, once a week, whatever the case may be, you get probably 1/20th of the work my range guns get. So you're pretty much covered. This is the way to do it, guys. Frog lube. And by the way, shameless plug, we are a frog lube dealer. So DMZ Tactical, I hope you like the demonstration, and we'll see you at the range. Semper Fi.